Hi, Meredith. It's good to see you. I really enjoyed your presentation and answering and how you answered the discussions. I I was actually really impressed of all the videos I watched of your presentation and your description of your multidimensional family therapy. And I think this is because you really went in depth. You actually were able to address each of the stages from the building trust and rapport through assessments on through the exit strategy. And that was a new way to really look at it. You broke it down, but in such simple terms that I thought this is actually another great way, because I actually told Adriana she had a great metaphor for it too, but I also thought yours was another great way to approach how to explain when you embark on this intervention with a client, what this intervention really is looking at and how it's going to help, especially when you are really taking into account the application of this intervention with adolescents and youth. I think it is paramount that you involve the network and the system behind each adolescent. I think that this has shown anyway, um, how influential not just behavior can be, but those interacting with someone, an adolescent or child, in a situation in which they're having or exhibiting negative behavior. And on that note, I also think that the reason this particular therapy is considered the gold standard for adolescents and even just families in general is because it's focusing on the building, the trust, the rapport, the communication, the familial communication, and especially with youth and vulnerable youth. It is so important, as from a provider perspective, as a provider, for you to be able to present a path in which they don't feel attacked. They don't feel you're not doing more harm than good. And I feel like this particular intervention is very good at making this adolescent feel inclusive and positive and giving them a very well structured and balanced, I don't want to say it, just be basically a balanced treatment program. And it doesn't just take place in that chair, because you are reaching out to their entire network, their parents, their family, the school, even the legal system, if that's where they're involved. You really are giving them a well-rounded treatment program where when they leave your office, they're actually still receiving help along the way, because you are in essence connecting everyone around them to that treatment program. And this builds such a stability and provides consistency, which also is critical in dealing with the adolescent or youth and their maladaptive coping skills, most likely. It also really helps them build their confidence skills and trust and rapport with those other factions of that system. I also really like the way that you had approached describing the SFBT as well as the 12-step program. Again, I found another definition that was different from the way that I had presented when I compared and contrasted, and I really thought this is really excellent. I really stopped to mull over what you had said and process that information, and I've tucked a little bit of it away, because I presented mine more on a technical level, or one was more offered your client agency in their own healing process, and your 12-step program was more of a spiritual framework. And I neglected to mention in that it also provided a very structured system in which to acknowledge and move through the stages of that acknowledgement. When a client has an issue, I find it to be true that giving them their autonomy back, really can be critical in whether or not they continue, even if they have a relapse, to seek treatment. I will say, however, though, because some people have done for so long so well in the 12-step program, I do think that it is that consistency, that structure, and that connection to others in similar predicaments.
Welcome to your NFL headlines of the day.
Hey, Alexa, be quiet. Anyway, sorry about that. But I really thought that you did a great job presenting all of that information. I also thought that you approached the looking at problem drinking through behavioral lens perfectly. I thought you were spot on. You really nailed the idea that you want to step away from the person being the issue and really just focusing on the behavior being a symptom and getting to what the issue that causes that symptom is. You really disarm a client's walls and guards by doing that. You really allow them to look at themselves in a very clear and honest manner, which when you have something of that nature, it can be a very sensitive topic. So I really did enjoy the way that you had presented that. I think that about covers it, and good luck, and I'll see you in the field. Really excited.